Howdy, my name is Sania Castro. My topic is on the human impact on the southern resident killer whales. I chose this topic because ocean life has been something that I was always interested in, and I was curious to see how GIS can be used to tell this story. My research question is, what has affected the decline of the southern resident killer whale population? I have found that humans have made a huge impact to the orcas' food supply, as well as the contaminants in the ocean. The Salish Sea is the study area that I am focusing on for this project. It is located in the northwestern area of Washington State, and the territory is shared with Canada. A certain group of southern residents spend most of the year around this area, which is why it's easier to focus on them here. The map and the boundary layer were obtained from GIS portal. Here's a little bit of information about the southern resident killer whales. There are 3 different populations of the Pacific Northwest orcas. Resident orcas remain inland or close to coastal waters. They feed exclusively on salmon, and I will focus more on the southern residents. Transient orcas feed only on marine mammals. They move along the coast from Alaska to southern California. Offshore orcas, which little is known about them, have been found to feed on sharks. Both the transient orcas and the offshore orcas make stops in the Salish Sea during migration. Southern resident killer whales are endangered due to lack of food, contaminants, oil spills, and disturbances from vessels, such as noise pollution. In the 1960s, the population of the southern resident killer whale was around 140. Live capture fishery began soon after, where marine mammal parks began to take these whales from their natural habitats. About half of the population of the southern resident killer whales were taken and sold to parks around the world. Some of these orcas were killed during the event. Population data is routinely obtained throughout the year for these whales. On July 1st, 2019, there was a reported 73 whales found in the wild by the Center of Whale Research. You can see that by the trend of this graph, over the last couple of years, there has been a decline in the population. Orcas live in pods, which is their family group. There are 3 pods within the southern residents. The J pod is generally seen in the Salish Sea throughout the year. The K pod are generally seen on the western shore of the San Juan Island during summer. The L pod is also seen on the west side of the San Juan Island during the summer with the other pods. This map shows the critical habitat area of the southern resident killer whales. A critical habitat is an area that is important to conserve for endangered and threatened species. The critical habitat area is divided into 3 different sections: the summer core area, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and the Puget Sound. The Chinook salmon is the main food source for the southern resident killer whale, and it makes up about 80% of their diet. The salmon is also endangered, and its population has declined greatly due to many dams being built in the area. Another effect as a result of the decline of population in the Chinook salmon is that there have been many failed pregnancies for the orcas because of the lack of nutrition. Other animals, such as sea lions, are in competition with the orcas to eat the salmon, which means that there is less salmon than you'd expect for the orcas to feed on. These salmons are exposed to pollutants that are spilled near their habitat. In exchange, the animals that feed on the salmon also consume the pollutants, one being polychlorinated biphenyls, which is also called PCBs for short, and its congener. PCBs tend to be stored in the fat of anything that consumes it and is known to be a carcinogen and can cause liver damage. I have made 2 maps to compare the spills that occurred in 2016 and 2018 that were reported in Washington. As you can see, Many spills are within a few miles of the streams and rivers in which the salmon live in, and makes it easy to see how they are vulnerable to harmful substances in the spills. I have also included some information on the chum salmon, since that's another species of salmon that the orcas feed on. Here, I made another comparison map of spills that occurred in Washington back in 2016 and 2018. This map shows which spills went into the water, and it also shows how large the spills were. By looking at the two maps, you can see how there were a lower number of not only spills, but large spills in 2018. Unfortunately, there was one major spill in 2018. Looking at the attribute table, I was able to find out that the large spill in 2018 was a gasoline oil tank truck accident spill that happened on August 8th. Something else that's noticeable is that there were less spills on the northern side of the Salish Sea area in Washington. With this slide, a Landsat and Google Earth image can show you how dense this area is with buildings. The Landsat image is using a false color band, which is helpful to see urbanization in the areas. The Google Earth map has a better resolution and shows more detail about the area with clarity. I added the map with spills in 2018 as a reference to show how close these spills occur near the edge of a body of water. If the spills aren't cleaned properly or in time for rainfall, then runoff water can easily carry the spills into the ocean and into the habitat of wildlife. This slide shows the graphic response strategies and a possible association it had on the spills from 2016 and 2018. Geographic response plans, also known as GRPs, are made to guide the response and protection of valuable areas in case of spills. The GRP sectors, shown in the light blue, are the areas that are under that protection. Response strategy points are locations from which people respond in the event of some kind of spills. They help reduce the time to make decisions on how to go about in approaching whatever issue the responders are faced with. Improvement with GRPs over the years may be a reason why there have been a decrease of spills over the course of 2 years, or at least a decrease in the major spills. The attribute table showed me that there were strategy points created as far back as 2006. There were also quite a few created in 2007 in order to help the Chinook salmon, which may be a reason as to why you see less spills in 2018 compared to 2016. The purpose of this map is to show how many of these spills are within 4.8 kilometers, which is approximately 3 miles, from a stream or river. The river and stream's vector data was obtained from the ArcGIS portal. A raster layer was made from the vector data using the Euclidean distance. I chose 3 miles because that was a relatively small distance, and I was surprised to see how many spills fell in that distance in both 2016 and 2018. All in all, I have found that humans have made a major impact with the population of the southern resident killer whales. Their population has been declining for some time now, and they may go extinct soon if things continue the way they are. Laws and critical habitat boundaries are being discussed in an ongoing effort to help out the southern resident killer whales. Just last month, there was a lot of money put towards conserving this species, and NOAA is trying to revise the critical habitat designation for the southern orcas. With doing this project, I have found out a lot more about the endangerment conditions about the orcas. It was also a bit of a struggle to find certain data, such as bathymetry data, well sighting locations, and noise pollution. I wasn't able to cover everything I was interested in looking into, but I was able to cover some of the main content that can easily pass along information to others as to why their population is declining. Thank you very much for watching this presentation.